media session with Coach Sirmon. Go ahead and let me know in the chat if you'd like to ask him a question, and we'll get rolling. Go ahead and get started with Jeff Ferrato from Cal Sports Report.
Yeah, good morning, Peter. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks, Jeff.
Good. I'm writing something for Athlon Magazine here in a couple of weeks, and I just want to get your sense of what's your expectation for what your defense will be next fall. You guys have quite a few people back. Just wondering through spring here, if you got a feel for how good you might be able to be.
Well, we're obviously really pleased with a lot of the super seniors returning and some of the younger guys that are always developing. I think we have a great shot of being one of the better defenses in the conference, but so many things there's so many variables with that, from where we are now to where we're going to be in 6-7 months of. I like our leadership. I think we have all the necessary ingredients to put forth a real competitive defense.
And are there some areas on that defense where you've seen real growth this spring that you're pleased with?
Yeah, I think we're continuing to build depth in the secondary. Ray Woody coming in, Craig Woodson, Daniel Scott, Elijah. Those are guys. Miles Williams. Seeing the safety positions getting more and more comfortable with. And then the corners with Chiggy and Josh Drayden, Colin Gamble, and then some of the younger guys coming in. So those have been good situations to see develop.
And then, of course, last season you were pretty thin on the D line. Are you seeing some progress there that you're encouraged by?
Guys are on the mend. AB's done a great job with the guys that have been available for spring, and there'll be some guys returning to us, so that'll be a great thing. And again, that's one of those things. We've been recruiting our tails off and adding numbers, and we're just still we'll get there. We'll see, when the health of everybody returns, but I think we're on the way.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll go to David Bush from Bear Insider.
Morning, Coach.
David.
You kind of touched on this a little bit early, but what going into the spring, did you have things that you really wanted to accomplish, wanted to see done, and did you get those done? And is there something that you still feel you really need to work on?
Well, that's a good question, David. There are several things. The first thing that comes to my mind is the acclimation of the new coaches, of getting everybody on board. Keith has been here through the duration, but getting Coach Trey kind of mid-spring to get him with the guys and get him with the vocab. That's obviously something that we wanted to get accomplished. The inside linebacker position, there's not really any significant experience coming back there, so we needed to get as many reps for those guys as possible. I've seen a lot of development. There's been tremendous strides there. It's still going to be a competitive situation going in to the fall. And then, kind of touched on some of the safety positions and the nickel position of who's going to continue to develop and who's going to rise up from some of the less experienced players.
And just to the latter point, you talk a little bit about how Colin Gamble progressed over the spring.
Yeah, Colin has really good tools. He's an instinctual player. He's got really good quickness. We asked him to play some nickel and some corner last year as a newcomer, and those positions take a lot of technique, and there's a lot of alignments and a lot of eye control things that you have to master, and he's making great strides. He's been around the ball. Seems like every other practice he's getting a hand on the ball or he's intercepting the ball. So we're excited about his continued development and how he can help us this fall.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll go to Trace Travers from Rivals.
Morning, Coach.
Morning, Trace.
You talked about some of the younger DBs in there, and Colin right there, and Miles Williams earlier this spring. Who are some of the other guys aside from that first group that you've seen maybe have some flashes so far?
Yeah, I've talked about those guys. Hunter Barth, I think I might have had one of the most exciting strikes or exciting tackles we've seen of all the camp a couple days ago. He came out of the post, and it was is a really fun, aggressive, physical play for him. And he's made great strides as a guy with no experience coming in. To see him kind of mature the personality and try to see some of his tools coming through. Caleb Higgins is another player that has had some good days. He's shown some flashes, but we see the future. He's as a guy that can, I think, be a very, very productive outside player for us. So those are two other guys that we kind of talked about.
Gotcha. And you said on the D line, some of the guys are on the mend there, but with what you have right now, what have you seen from some of the younger guys that aren't on the mend?
Seeing the guys get, bigger and stronger, Stanley, it's great to see him out there. Ricky Correa, two big guys that I know are going to be play a lot of meaningful snaps for us. And then, even some of the older guys, John Henry, JH, he continues to get better. He's turned into a very technical player, and I think AB's done a really nice job with him. So everybody is improved, I think, in the spring, and that's the most important thing that we see on defense.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else with a final question for Coach? It looks like we actually do. Jeff Frotto has another question. Go ahead, Jeff. Might be on mute, Jeff.
I am on mute. My apologies. Can you just talk about kind of what the format tomorrow will be for the spring game and what you are looking for from your side of the ball?
Yeah, we're going to have there's going to be a pretty good variety. I think Justin's going to move the ball around on the field a little bit. I think we're expecting some red zone opportunities, what we call the go zone here, GO, meaning you're kind of in that third down. You're not really going to punt. It's probably too far for a field goal. So there's going to be some challenging situations for us on defense, which we're excited about. There's going to be a little bit of 7-on-7. I also think there's going to be some special teams components to it. And then from there, I think Justin's going to end up, kind of maybe some 1s versus 2s, and then 3s versus 3s. So I think the schedule's kind of to let those guys go for a while, and we expect to get some significant, 60, 70, 80 snaps on defense.
I'm sure that when spring ball starts, it doesn't have a sense that it's going to go by as fast as it does when you get to this point. But can you just talk about overall what you think the team has achieved here in these past few weeks?
Yeah, I think we're kind of getting back to where we were prior to, kind of our recess. It's what Justin, and I think what we've done a good job here is we built a really good culture, and the guys have been competitive in practice. The guys are getting back into what I believe is the normalcy of being on a team. The next thing that is exciting for us is when it's appropriate to be able to get back in the building to where these guys can eat together, use the locker room, and continue to build that camaraderie. And I think that's where, being on the field is great, but all of us that have been on teams or in organizations, it's some of those times that you're in the locker room or you're visiting or you're in the weight room and you're all doing something together that really kind of galvanizes you. So getting everybody together, getting the full team on the field so you don't have split practices, that's been big. And so I think that's kind of the cultural part, and just the overall energy of the team is significantly better than it was in kind of that abbreviated, COVID time.
Great. Have fun tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
We'll go to Max Frankie from Bear Insider.
Coach, with the inside linebacker unit being pretty fresh, do you anticipate Coin Dang maybe moving back to that position if need be?
Nothing is ever out of the realm of possibilities. We're always trying to find the best combination of players. As of, sitting here today visiting with you, I don't see that, but that doesn't eliminate it from potential.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, does anybody have a final question for Coach? It looks like I have another one. Jackson Moore. Sorry, Jackson, I missed you the first time. Go ahead, Jackson from 24/7.
Coach, you mentioned Ray Woody briefly talking about the DB depth. Could you share some more about what you saw from him in his first 15 practices as a Bear?
Yeah, I thought Ray came along, you know, and I kind of talked about him earlier that it's a different transition from a newcomer or high school from that he's coming from a collegiate program, because, you know, what he's been doing for years has been, you know, kind of, I'm sure it's been impressed in his head pretty well. So to relearn some of the vision and the eye control situations that every DB coach and every defense plays some routes, and their eye control is a little bit different. But he started, you know, kind of how I expected, you know, kind of eyes wide open, kind of getting a feel for what we're asking to do. And then more through spring, you know, he started showing up a little bit more. And, you know, primarily there was a couple shots in the run game. He came in, he was physical, he was aggressive, and we saw improvements there. So we're really excited about what Ray's going to be. And another, you know, 28, 30 practices, getting him ready for fall. I think he's going to be ready to help us.
Thank you.
Okay, now anybody with the final question? Okay, I think